Thanks for joining today. Really happy to be able to speak with all of you today here and just kind of get into a lot of what we do at Hireology, but also what you're experiencing in the auto industry today and perhaps some tools that we can provide to help. So first, I just wanted to quick introduce myself here. My name is Joe. I'm a major account executive here at Hireology. I'm specifically and exclusively in the auto industry. I have about 500 dealerships in my book of business here that I speak with every day. So I'm on the phone with GMs, service directors, with HR directors, you name it, dealer principals, owners, of helping them navigate the current job market and the hiring process, making sure that we have strategies and processes in place so that they're really building their best teams here. It's no secret to all of you right now that hiring is very different than it used to be, let's say even 10 years ago, or even just before the pandemic or during the pandemic. It's very, very different now. And so making sure that we have modern tools and solutions to address that is more important than ever. A little bit about Hireology here. So I like to think of us as a one-stop shop here for everything that you need for the recruiting and hiring process. And really the fancy terminology you might hear thrown around here is we're an applicant tracking system, ATS. And so what we built here is a software solution that gives you all the tools to manage the hiring process, recruiting process on the very front end, the middle part of it, as well as the back end. So from attracting talent, getting those applicants in the door, as well as identifying top candidates, and then of course, managing your current talent and employees. As you'll see there, we work with 1 in 4 dealerships in the country here to help them streamline their process, ultimately hire the top talent and really just build their best teams. Not to brag, but we have been identified here as one of the top solutions in the industry here by the publication G2. We've got plenty of badges and awards. However, I think I'd rather just kind of let our solutions and software speak for themselves, but feel free to check out some of our reviews there on G2, as we have about 600 plus reviews there that are 5 stars. Here's one of my favorite visuals that when I'm speaking with our customers of everything that we provide. Again, we're a one-stop shop when it comes to your HR solutions. So everything on the front end, when it comes to attracting and identifying talent, whether that's building a career site for you or making sure that you have a centralized system where you can view all of your applicants, and of course, the function of posting jobs. But we also offer a lot of tools and solutions to make sure that you can handle each part of that process, such as background checks, such as onboarding your new hires. And then, of course, the final piece, which is actually helping manage the payroll solutions, different benefits and things of that nature on the back end, which we partner with our payroll provider NetChecks for. So again, a one-stop shop for everything you need for your HR stack here, as it were. As most dealers I talk to aren't looking to add vendors, they're looking to consolidate and have less. So Hireology gives you exactly that, the ability to consolidate everything with one vendor, one provider, one system. The top 2 things that I hear all day long when I am working with stores all over the country here are mainly these 2 issues. Is one, it's taking way too long to actually fill our roles. I was speaking with a service director out in California here just last week. And he said, yeah, I've had 2 open tech jobs that we've been actively recruiting for 6 months. So for 6 months, they've been down 2 technicians with a handful of open bays. And that, of course, not only hurts morale, but of course, having 2 technicians out is going to ultimately impact your bottom line on the fixed ops side of things. So not having a technician, being out a technician, if you have an open bay there, I've had GMs tell me that they're anticipating maybe $1,000 to $1,500 a day that they can have if they have that bay filled. So for example, if we have a technician job that is sitting open, we have an open bay, and now that's $1,000 a day, but sitting open for a week, we're looking at 5,000. Sitting open for a month, we're looking at about 20,000. And so you see how that can really snowball and add up. And so making sure we're able to fill as quickly as possible is really crucial. As well as, this is probably the most common one I hear, is it's really tough to find quality talent nowadays, especially on the fixed ops side of the business. It really seems like right now that technicians, especially ones with any experience on their resume, are the unicorns of the job market. They really have the ability here to go wherever they want. Really, if a technician with experience were to walk into any store right now in America, the GM would probably kiss his feet and beg him to work there. And it's just something where we're seeing it's really tough to come by nowadays. And I hear stores all the time tell me, we're getting plenty of applications for our open service jobs. However, these applicants have the food industry on their resume. Maybe they're coming from retail, they're coming from a different industry, what have you. And of course, we always appreciate the application. We always appreciate when someone raises their hand saying, we want to work at your store. However, especially when it comes to a skilled position like a technician, those folks can't help us. And so making sure that we can get quality people in there that are going to stick around and really help the business is, of course, going to drive revenue. Because I'm sure some of you can relate, at times when we compromise our needs and we compromise our really the quality people that we need, we end up hiring someone that doesn't quite have the experience or the skills that we need. That, of course, is going to find its way to the customer, which then, of course, impacts our bottom line right there again. So at Hireology, we focus on these three pillars here to make sure that you can, again, build your best team. One, of course, being speed. Hireology is designed to make sure that you can not only post your jobs, but identify the talent, reach out to your applicants, schedule the interview, get them through the interviewing process, the onboarding process, their background check, and ultimately get them hired as quickly as possible. As most candidates today, we found in our survey that we do every year, we surveyed about 500 or so applicants in the auto industry. And what they expect is if they apply for a job on a Monday, they expect to be interviewed no later than Wednesday. And that is, and then again, I'm going to say it again, interviewed, not contacted, within 48 hours. They expect to be in the office or having a phone interview. So we have less time than ever to capture this talent. So we got to make sure that we have the tools in place so that we can do that on a consistent basis, as well as, of course, quality. As I had just alluded to, right now, it's really tough to come by, especially when it comes to the service side of the business. So being able to attract, identify that quality talent is as important as ever these days. And we want to make sure we're giving you the talent to do that as quickly as possible, but also as consistently as possible, so that you're attracting the talent that wants to make a career out of this, the talent that really wants to stick around and help your store, your organization for the long haul. Of course, last piece being intelligence, making sure that we have a repeatable, efficient process in place here so that you can feel really good about each decision that you make in the hiring process every time. Of course, we want to make sure that the juice is worth the squeeze on this one, and so that you have the proper ROI when it comes to a tool like Hireology. I always say that Hireology is meant to do two things. The second most important thing is, of course, to make your life in the hiring process a little bit easier with these tools. The first one, of course, is to make sure that we're capturing some of the revenue that we lost of having these open jobs or not having the top talent. Because, of course, if we're going to have a system like this and it's not driving more revenue, what's the point? So what we've seen and what our customers have told us here is when they're using Hireology, that they've seen the reduction to hire, so time to hire, cut in half. And again, especially when it comes to technicians, if a technician can bring in roughly about $1,000 a day, all of a sudden, if we go from our typical hiring, process from time to hire is, let's just say, for example, we're doing great and it's 30 days. What if we were to cut that down to 15? All of a sudden, now we've captured 15K in extra revenue. That's a really big deal. As well as what they've told us is they're seeing more quality candidates than ever, making sure that they can cast a wide net, identify those top candidates right away and get them in the door. So we want to make sure, again, you feel like this is really worth the investment so that you get the quality talent is really going to help you continue to build your business and have it thrive. All right, so enough of these slides. Let's actually get into Hireology itself with our product demo. Okay, so One of the things that I always stress with Hireology, because we have customers of all sizes here. We have customers who have 90 stores under their organization. We also have customers that are a single rooftop, 30 employee business that have been in business for 50 plus years. And so what you would see, for example, with this demo environment, we're seeing this customer has 4 stores. So let's say if you're the HR director that oversees all 4 stores, or you're the GM, you're the dealer principal. Well, you would go in and you would see, okay, how are all of my 4 stores doing here? How many open jobs do we have? Candidates that we're looking at, hires that we've made, etc. A nice way to give you a snapshot of how each store is doing. Where do I need to allocate different resources and time and energy that day? So let's go ahead and go in here to just this account right here for this store. And so what I'm going to do now is post a job. And so what most stores tell me that are not using Hireology, they tell me what their process is most of them are doing one of 2 things. Either we're only posting jobs to just their website, or we're posting to only Indeed. And so we're really only capturing some of the market with that. With Hireology, when I go to post a job, it is going to post to Indeed, to your website, as well as the rest of the top 10 job boards in the country. So it's the top 10 job boards, including Indeed, such as Google for Jobs, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, etc. Making sure that we're casting as wide of a net as possible, because if we're only putting it on one job board, we can only get it in front of so many eyeballs. The way that I like to think about this with our dealers is making sure that, hey, like, we got to market our jobs the way that we're marketing our vehicles and our services. For example, car dealerships don't only market their vehicles on their website. They're running TV ads. They're running radio ads. They're doing different Google campaigns to make sure that anybody in their area who is potentially shopping for a vehicle, they can get them in the door and hopefully get them driving out of there with a new vehicle. We want to think the same way when it comes to jobs. Cast a really wide net. So let's go ahead and open a job here. All right. Again, we want to make this as quick and as simple as possible. So what we've done here is we've had these job descriptions loaded up in here for you. These are all compiled of best practices of what we've seen across the country of what has the highest apply rate with applicants. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go ahead and do everybody's favorite, a service technician. So I click in there. All of your info, your store's info is going to be uploaded in there. I'll set myself as the hiring manager on this one. And the job description is going to be pre-built in there for you. Again, this is a best practice that we really encourage that our customers use, is these are search engine optimized, so that if someone Googles auto technician job, Stillwater, Minnesota, then one of the first ones, if not the first one that you see in that Google search, is going to be one of your Hireology jobs. So we're happy to work with you. If you have any special branding on this, anything you'd like to add, obviously we'll work with you on that, so it's in there for you. Can also customize my hiring steps to make sure that I'm doing this appropriately based on the position. For example, the hiring process for a part-time lot attendant versus a general manager is probably going to be a little different, so I can customize it accordingly. All right, I do a quick double check. That looks good to me. As long as this is checked public right here, that's when it is going to go out to all the top 10 job boards and your website that I just alluded to. If I want to save it right here just for my own employees to potentially apply to first, I can do that, or I can save it for later with pending. And so just like that, instead of posting to just one job board or just posting to my website, I've now posted to all of those job boards simultaneously. And once they do, these applicants do raise their hand, see that job posting and apply, no matter where it's from. What, of course, then you'll see is they're all going to flow in here into Hireology with these applicants here. What I wanted to show first here before we go into the applicant screen, I alluded to this earlier that we build a career site for every dealer that we work with. And so I wanted to show an example here of what that looks like. And so one of our customers here that we've built this site for, and what I've seen as a trend here in the auto industry and working with dealers dealerships do a wonderful job of really marketing to the customer how great their stores are in terms of their involvement in the community, how great their culture is, their legacy, how long they've been in business, and why they should be buying the vehicle from them, of course. But when it comes to really having an employment brand and really selling their jobs and why a potential applicant candidate would work for them, a lot of times that careers page is just a blank application screen. And so what we want to do is market to them and say, hey, this is a pretty special place to work and why they should apply. And because what we're seeing again is in our applicant study, about 75% of the applicants that we surveyed said that before they apply for a position, they go to the store's website and see what it's like. So this is a great chance to set yourself apart and put your best foot forward. Let's take a look at a few things here that we built out here for our customer. And so what you'll see here, some things that we do in the community. A lot of stores do a lot of great stuff in terms of their charitable organizations, different like local, whether it's tech schools they work with, different organizations in the community. Put that in here. That's a great thing to highlight, as well as how long you've been in business. All right. I know a lot of stores that are second, third, even fourth generation. All right. Put that on there. That's a big deal to a lot of these people that are looking for the next step in their career, knowing that they're a part of something bigger. Well, as any awards, again, community involvement is great. Here's one of my favorite things that I think is so lost sometimes when we're trying to build out some of these career sites is a career path. Because what we're seeing is, or at least what I'm hearing with a lot of our customers right now, is they're saying, yeah, we're getting a lot of job hoppers. What I mean by that is someone applies, they breeze to the interview process, we think they're our next rock star, but then after they're hired 3 months later, a new shiny job comes open and they leave there. They leave for greener pastures. And so what we want to make sure that we're doing is we're showing, hey, you know what? We do a great job of promoting from within. And this is like a visual like this of showing, hey, like maybe you might start out as a receptionist, but if you want to make a career out of this, we have a set path and we promote from within so that if you have bigger aspirations, we can help you get there. Most of the managers, dealer principals, GMs, owners I talked to didn't start out that way. Speaking with a GM who's been a GM for 25 years, just earlier this week, he said, yeah, I started out as a lot attendant when I was in college and worked my way up, made a career of this. Those are great stories, and they're great stories to share with your applicants, saying maybe that could be them. And of course, we'll also have here various benefits, what sets your store apart. But of course, we also want to have these job listings in here. And so Napleton, they're a very big organization. They have about 70 odd some stores with us here throughout the Midwest. So that's why you'll see a lot of these job postings. And so, for example, let's just say I wanted to go into one of these, I'll just say the sales associate position. And so it pulls up the job description and everything, and I can apply. What it also allows me to do here is when I click apply with Indeed, what it's going to do here is pull this up so that if I have an Indeed profile, it's going to auto-populate all my information from Indeed in there so I can apply with just a couple of clicks, as opposed to filling out a whole application, uploading my resume. So what we're finding is if applicants have to do various things such as create a login, if they have to go through a lot of these fillable fields where they have to repeat a lot of the info on their resume, they end up giving up because it's taking too long. So what our goal is making sure that your applicants can apply to your open positions 10 minutes or less. We want them to be able to apply for these on their phone, as well as, let's say, if they're just on a quick break, their lunch break, they can apply. If it's clunky, if it's slow, if there's a couple of things that like would force them to be like, oh, okay, this is a little too difficult, we're finding that applicants give up. About half of them said that if it takes too long, I'm going to move on to someone else, move on to another store, or maybe a different industry that's going to make it a little smoother and just clear those hurdles and those roadblocks. All right. So let's go back into Hireology. So let's say we have this career site built out for you and someone went to your website, everything looks great. You know what? I would like to apply here. Let's go ahead and apply for a sales position. So what Hireology is really designed for too is to make sure that, again, you get time back in your day. Hireology is not designed for you to spend all day in it. A good rule of thumb is you should be in the system right away in the morning, see if we have any new applicants, 10 to 15 minutes. Make sure we knock out anything on the to-do list here, contact new applicants, schedule interviews, and then get right back to your to-do list that's probably this long. Okay, and then at the end of the day, do the same thing, 10, 15 minutes tops. So let's go ahead and let's take a look here at some of these applicants. So what I can see here is they're coming in from all these different sources, be it ZipRecruiter, your own career site, Indeed, what have you. A great feature with Hireology and what we really encourage here is to make sure that we're going through these in a really efficient way. And a great way to do this, of course, I can click into their resume and review each resume, go into a little bit more detail on each candidate. However, that is time consuming. Like I said, 10, 15 minutes is the goal to get in and out of the system. So each candidate, no matter where they apply from, they receive a pre-screen survey. So I always tell our customers, make sure when you go in, sort it by the survey. See who did well on this. So no matter where they apply from, again, they receive this automated email with a few questions. I normally say 4 or 5 is plenty. You can put whatever questions you'd want on there. So for example, we have a sales position here. Looks like somebody got 100%. Looks like, yep, they have the experience we want. They have experience with luxury brand. They're also willing to submit to a background check. Okay, this person is worth an interview. That is the ultimate question we're looking to answer with these pre-screen surveys. Is this person worth contacting for an interview? So again, I'll go like this. Okay, looks like we got a few people that we say, yep, I think they're worth the interview. But what can also be helpful is you can set up what we call knockout questions. For example, I've had various dealers tell me, like, I felt really good about one of our candidates that we had here, but then I sent him notification saying that, hey, I need you to take this drug screen. And the candidate ended up saying, thanks, but no thanks, I'm not doing that. And it's like, we went through that whole process, said no to other qualified applicants, only really just to waste our time there throughout the process for a few weeks, and now we have to start over. And so in this, what you'll see here, this applicant said, nope, I'm not willing to, I don't have a clean driving record, and I'm not willing to submit to a background check. So that automatically gives them a 0% score, meaning do not interview this person. Thank you for applying. However, we're moving forward with other candidates. All right. So now let's talk about the people we do want to interview. We do want to get in the door here. What we're finding, and I talk to dealers every day, and unfortunately, one of the biggest headaches that is in the hiring process right now is these hiring managers getting no-showed for these interviews. People saying, yep, I'll be there at noon on Tuesday, never to be seen again, which is really unfortunate. However, it's very, very common. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago. I asked a room of about 50 dealers, who here's been no-showed for an interview? And everybody's hands shot right up. It's happening, unfortunately, a lot. Here's how we suggest you combat it. So when we're reaching out to these applicants to schedule these interviews, what we're finding is texting is the best way to get a hold of them, as well as the best way to get a response. What we're finding is people today are not answering the phone of a phone number they don't recognize, as well as emails tend to go unread for a lot longer than texts do. About 98% of text messages are read within the first 5 minutes. And 90% of the people that we surveyed, the applicants in the auto industry, said, if the hiring manager or recruiter was going to communicate with me via text, 90% of them said, that's my preferred method of communication. All right. So let's say here, I'm going to reach out and try to schedule an interview with anybody who got at least 60% on our survey. I'm going to go ahead and click all 4 of these. I'm going to click my SMS tool right here. And now what I can do, and I have various different templates in here. So let's just say we want to do a phone interview with all 4 of these candidates. Each of them are going to receive their own individual text message. And this is a texting tool within Hireology, so no one has to use their personal phone, but they're all going to receive this text message saying, hey, we liked your application. Would love to schedule a phone interview. What time works for you? Once I do that, send, and then all of those messages, and when they respond, are then going to show up over here in my inbox. And so I would receive an automated email, or even if you would like, you can receive notifications, push notifications via the Hireology mobile app, because we know if you're a manager, whether you're a service director or you're a GM, you're bouncing around all day around the store. So it can be a really helpful and useful way of doing that. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for these folks to communicate with us and ultimately get them in the door. Another great way too, text them a reminder morning of the interview. Hey, respond why for yes, you are coming to the interview. Another great way to utilize the platform to make sure that we're increasing our show rates. We're not wasting our time setting up interviews for people who unfortunately are not showing up. Another great way to kind of automate this process here to make sure that we can make the scheduling of interviews a lot easier is through our interview scheduling tool. Because what we're finding is top candidates today, a lot of times don't take phone calls. Again, it's a number they don't recognize, or they have a job already. So it's kind of tough for them to take a call during the workday. So here's another great way to recommend. This is for a more personalized touch with if we have one top candidate that we really like, this is what I'd recommend. So let's say I want to go ahead and schedule an interview with Janet. Let's go ahead and do a hiring manager interview. And so what I'm going to do here is go through this. I'm going to say I am the manager on this. And so this works great if you have a GM who's doing the interviewing, you have the service directors doing the interviewing, but for some reason, they have a really busy day. So we're having maybe the office manager is the one who's scheduling the interview. All right. So I'm going to say, I'll be doing the interviewing. And what we would do is we can sync your calendar here with Hireology, meaning all of these times here will auto-populate of the times that you're available. So you have time blocked off in your calendar, the time will not show up. So for example, I'm going to say there's availability today during these times, as well as Friday at these times. And so what this will do, this creates an automated email that the candidate will receive saying, hiring manager would like to interview you, is available this time, this time, and this time, and this time. Please click on the one that works best for you. They click on it. It then puts a calendar invite on their calendar as well as on the hiring manager's calendar so that we can just all take a little bit of a deep breath. Oh, that's interviewed. We're all good to go. Another great way to, again, lean into the automation process of it. Make sure we're not spending too much time on the little tedious things that tend to honestly trip up a lot of dealers here when it comes to that process. What we're also seeing, another really helpful feature that you can probably see right here on the screen, is interview guides. So what we're seeing, especially with our stores in smaller markets or just smaller stores in general, that I'll ask them, okay, so do you have an HR director, HR department? And they laugh at me. So like, you're looking at it right here. Each department head is the HR director and is conducting all those interviews. And we sure expect a lot out of our hiring managers, our department heads in the auto industry. We expect them to not only be an expert in the industry, an expert in their field, in their department, but frankly, we also expect them, of course, to be an expert in conducting interviews and identifying talent and conducting that process. That's a lot to ask. So a really nice tool that you can have in here is, let's say if I'm conducting an interview, I'm a new manager, I've never done this before. This can give you a template. So when I have an interview guide. So what we're finding, especially with new managers or managers who haven't had any HR training, is they do their very best, but a lot of times they're shooting from the hip. And maybe they're not asking the same questions to every candidate, or maybe they're taking notes, but then when it comes time to share like how the interview went with various other stakeholders of who's going to handle the hiring, like, okay, like, yes, I remember this conversation, but then if we have anybody else who needs to be involved, it's very tough to keep them up to speed. This way we have a centralized system where everybody can see the notes and how it went, as well as we're asking the same questions. So again, we have a process that's very efficient, and we can measure the candidates on how they answered and they did with the exact same questions and things of that nature. Again, giving you the tools here. I want to make sure that we're saying that these are the tools to use here and these are the guidelines. However, obviously, what we're finding is as soon as we get these candidates in the door, most stores do a wonderful job at finding the right fit. However, just a couple of things process-wise that we typically see, you know what, I think we can clean that up a bit so that you can truly feel really good about decisions and have your best team. We're just looking to amplify the people that you have in right now to give them the best tools possible to succeed. All right. And so there's that, as well as we want to make sure as we're advancing throughout the process, we have the tools to do that really smoothly. So let's say, for example, all right, I'm going to go back to my candidates right here. We're saying, I feel really good about this candidate. I think we want to move forward. Okay. So if we have multiple managers here in the process, a great way you can do this is you can communicate on the platform. So let's say Steven right here is the person I want to interview, or I want to hire rather. I can go ahead and tag somebody. So let's say if I want to tag this person right here, hey, let's hire him. Boom. Now that person is going to receive an automated notification. I just commented on that. Now we have a centralized place for any notes or things of that nature. Let's say like, yep, we want to move forward. We want to do this. Of course, one of the first things we're going to do is to double check, make sure we run them through a background check. So I'm just going to click this. It's all in the same place, the same platform. Let's say I am going to do the typical three that we hear is we're doing a criminal background search, we're doing a motor vehicle record, as well as a drug screen. You can do all three. You can do just two of them. You can do only one of those at a single time, whatever you'd like. Let's say I'm doing all three. I click this, click continue. Once I click confirm right here, now I'm done. And so the applicant, or the candidate rather, will receive an automated email saying, our dealership would like to move forward with you. However, this is pending a background check, motor vehicle record search, as well as a drug screen. And so then that will run them through all of those things, and it'll walk them through step by step with various email templates to make sure that they're all good to go on that front. And of course, you'll receive notifications via email or push notifications as they've completed each step of that process. So, and again, since speed is the name of the game nowadays, we want to make sure we're advancing as quickly as possible. So we send a background check, and we always say, okay, with that, let's send a offer letter as well, pending the background check, to make sure that if they're applying for other jobs, we're not losing because we are moving simply too slow on this. So great way to do this here. I go to my candidate who I want to hire, and I'm going to send the offer letter. We can help you customize these to make sure that it says everything you want to about your store, what have you. We have a couple of different templates in here for you. So let's say I just want to do a basic offer letter. They are starting in a couple of weeks. Here's what they're getting paid per hour, and we pay bi-weekly. And just like that, I've created an offer letter, and I'm going to go ahead and send that out to them right there, and I'm done. Great. Again, moving fast, really efficient, great way to make a first impression here, which leads in very well into our onboarding piece, because what we're finding is if you create a really great first impression with that offer letter piece, as well as getting them onboarded on with all of their info, making sure that they get off to a great start, we're finding that employees are much more loyal. We asked our applicants that we surveyed of their loyalty to their current employer. And we asked about if they had a great onboarding experience or not. And the folks that said that they had a negative onboard experience, about 40% of them said they were loyal. The folks that said they had a great onboarding experience, their loyalty was double that, about 80%. Making a first impression really, really matters. So how this would go in Hireology here is I click the hire button, and then on my end, as the hire manager, I'm done. So I'm not chasing them down to make sure that they have all of their documents ready to go, their payroll information, all of that stuff ready by day one, because what we're trying to avoid here is having them come in on day one. They sit in one of the hiring manager's offices, and they're signing a stack of paperwork that's this tall, that this thick, getting them into the payroll system, getting them into your DMS, making sure they fill out their I-9s, any tax forms, what have you, getting their certifications. I mean, God forbid they forget something. So we want to make sure day one, everything's already done, especially a technician. I mean, when you start, get in the shop, go get to that bay. We gotta get working on our customers' vehicles here. So this is what it would look like from the candidate's perspective. I go in here. As soon as I've said, yes, okay, yes, I'd like to work for your store. I've accepted the offer, and you click the hire button. I receive an automated email walking me through the onboarding process. It's going to help me create an account, and it's going to have step-by-step here of what step and what phase I'm on to get fully ready to start day one. So fairly mistake-proof in here. It's going to walk me through the steps here. It's a great chance. Any branding, any special videos you have, be as creative as you want here. Put those on there. Congrats. We're so excited for you to start. Introduce your hiring manager. Here's who you're going to be working for. We get any e-signatures that we need in here, making sure that we're good to go compliance-wise. And maybe some questions that we get more than you think in terms of what should I wear on the first day? Or maybe where I should park. Various different frequently asked questions. Hey, here's what to expect, what have you, that we can get ahead of. Again, setting yourself apart, making that great first impression, as well as all of the not so exciting stuff, which is whether your employee handbook, your I-9s, anything again regarding to your DMS or your payroll system, to make sure we're not entering in all this information 3, 4, 5 different times. And so I'm just going to scroll through here, make sure that I have everything filled out. Looks good to me. I click the boxes that apply to me. I sign. And then it kicks me to my next one here. Again, talking about any taxes. Again, we can upload your I-9 forms, W-4s, what have you. We need to go ahead and complete any certifications in here. We can do that as well. All right. And then, of course, intros, the fun stuff. We want to get these folks really excited to work for you and making sure that they kind of feel those warm and fuzzies of, wow, this is different. Like, I haven't had a company roll out the red carpet before for me. And making sure that they feel like, yeah, we're really, really excited for you to get started here. So we've had various customers get really creative with this. Like, hey, tell us about your family. Tell us about your pets. Tell us about your hobbies, what have you. Anything like that to get them more connected and more excited to work for you can be really, really advantageous. Okay. Mission statement. Here's what we do in the community. And I'm all done. I can do all of my onboarding from my phone, from my laptop, my desktop computer, and making it as easy as possible, as modern as possible, so that whether they're really tech savvy as a younger person, or whether they're not so tech savvy, it's going to be very user friendly. So by the time it's day one, I can start work. Boom, I am ready to go. So that concludes kind of the cycle of everything that we handle. Obviously, there's a few more bells and whistles and things of that nature that we can help with and that we can ultimately do to, again, make your life a little bit easier on the hiring front, but also making sure that you have your best team. And so your business is thriving, which is with as much revenue as possible. So I go back to my slides here. And we have so many different features, whether it is that document collection piece with the onboarding, or its various testing and verifications and background checks. We also have various forms, also ways, different grassroots ways to attract talent, such as our text to apply or referrals tool. Really a lot of different things about Hireology to make sure, again, you have all the tools in your toolbox so you can build your best team and have a hiring process that you're really, really proud of. And so I want to thank everybody here for joining us today. I really appreciate the attention. Please feel free to reach out should you have any more specific questions, maybe questions specifically about your store, about the industry. I've included our info@hireology.com mailbox there for any general questions, any auto-specific questions. If you'd like maybe a more personalized demo, just want to meet with me to see if maybe Hireology can help with some of your hiring process. My email is right there. Feel free to reach out. All right. Thank you, everybody.